Being rejected by a woman stings. It hits your ego, makes you question your worth, and sometimes even makes you feel invisible. But here's the truth most men never understand. Rejection doesn't always mean she's done with you. In fact, women often come back after rejecting a man, and it's rooted deeply in psychology, not chance. Understanding why she returns can give you a massive advantage in the modern dating world. Women operate largely on emotional and social cues. When a man shows confidence, value, and independence, she notices, even if she initially said no. Sometimes rejection happens because she's unsure, testing boundaries, or simply not ready to admit her attraction. Her mind constantly evaluates her feelings and your worth. If she sees that you handled rejection with calmness and strength, it creates curiosity. She starts wondering why you weren't affected, why you didn't beg, and why you moved on with purpose. That mental shift is what often pulls her back. Coming back after rejection isn't about desperation. It's about what she feels she missed. Women subconsciously track men who display stability, emotional control, and high value. If she senses that you're a man who can exist without her approval, her brain starts to see you differently. Attraction is complicated, but behavior patterns are predictable. This video will break down exactly why women return, what they're feeling, and how you can respond to maximize your influence. By understanding the psychology behind her actions, you'll never fear rejection again. You'll see it as an opportunity to strengthen your position and your confidence. 1. She tested your value when a woman rejects you. One of the main reasons she may come back later is that she's testing your value. Women instinctively assess a man's worth through his behavior, confidence, and how he handles rejection. If she initially rejected you because she wasn't sure where you stood or wanted to see how much control she had over your emotions, her return is a sign that her curiosity about your value has grown. Most men take rejection personally and react with desperation, which confirms her testing instinct. But if you maintained composure, showed confidence, and didn't let her rejection shake your self-esteem, you passed the first test. Women notice strength and stability above everything else. The psychology behind this is straightforward. Women are wired to subconsciously evaluate whether a man can provide emotional security, social standing, and consistency. When they reject a man, it's sometimes not a hard no, but a way to measure his reaction. Did he beg, over-explain, or lose his frame? Or did he stay grounded, continue improving, and handle the situation with calmness? Your actions after rejection communicate more about your worth than words ever could. When you demonstrate that your life doesn't revolve around her approval, her brain begins to reevaluate you. She starts thinking about the missed opportunity and comparing you to other men she encounters. That mental comparison often triggers the desire to come back. Timing plays a role here as well. When she sees you thriving and emotionally unbothered after rejection, it challenges her initial judgment. She realizes that she doesn't control your emotions and that your value is independent of her attention. That's attractive because most men immediately lower themselves to regain interest, which makes them predictable and less desirable. You, on the other hand, became rare by maintaining composure. This triggers both intrigue and respect. She may start reflecting on why she rejected you in the first place and what she might have lost in doing so. Her return is often subtle at first, perhaps a message, a casual interaction, or checking in indirectly. She's testing again, but this time on her terms, not yours. She wants to see if your confidence is genuine, if you're still the man who can operate without her validation. That's why controlling your reaction at this stage is critical. Overreacting, begging, or trying to explain your feelings destroys the value you demonstrated initially. When she comes back, the goal is to remain consistent, calm, and focused on your own life. That solidifies the perception of high value and makes her more likely to invest emotionally. Women also track consistency over time. They notice men who grow, improve, and stay grounded regardless of their presence. If she rejected you during a moment of uncertainty and sees you evolving in her absence, it activates a sense of loss. She may feel the pull of curiosity and a desire to reconnect with a man she underestimated. That combination of intrigue, respect, and subtle challenge is what drives her to return. She doesn't always articulate it consciously, but her actions are guided by these emotional and psychological triggers. In short, when she comes back after rejection, it's often because she tested your value and realized you're rare. You didn't overreact, you didn't chase, and you maintained your composure. You proved you're a man who can thrive without validation, and that rare energy is magnetic. Her return is a reflection of the power you demonstrated simply by being yourself and holding your frame, and it's a chance to reset the dynamic on your terms. 2. She missed your confidence. One of the most common reasons a woman comes back after rejecting you is that she missed your confidence. Confidence isn't just about how you look or what you say. It's about the energy you carry and the way you handle life. When you were first rejected, she might have underestimated the stability and security your presence provided. Most men respond to rejection with desperation, fear, or overcompensation, which immediately lowers their perceived value. But if you maintained your composure and continued living your life with purpose, that quiet confidence becomes undeniable. Women notice it even if they try to hide their attention. Confidence is magnetic because it signals emotional independence. When a man can face rejection without losing his center, it tells a woman that he is secure and self-sufficient. That security is attractive on a deep, almost instinctive level. When she comes back, it's usually because she has felt a void. She misses the calm strength you projected and realizes that few men exhibit that kind of energy. She may have thought she didn't need it before, but the absence of your confident presence makes her subconscious mind take notice. That feeling of missing something she can't fully define is a powerful driver for her return. The timing of your response after rejection is critical to building this magnetic energy. Men who chase or try to explain themselves immediately after being turned down create a sense of neediness, which is the opposite of confidence. But when you step back, focus on your growth, and show that your life doesn't depend on her validation, you plant the seed of curiosity. She begins to wonder why you weren't affected and why you continued to thrive. That mental shift starts to make her see you as more valuable than she initially thought. It's not manipulation, it's the natural outcome of being genuinely self-assured. Women often underestimate the impact of absence combined with confidence. When she rejected you, she may have been testing her own feelings or trying to gauge your emotional stability. If you handle her distance with ease, it makes her reconsider her decision. She might start thinking about what she lost or what she could have had if she had responded differently. That subtle recalibration of her emotions is what drives many women to return after initially saying no. The contrast between her initial perception and the reality of your composed confidence creates an internal tension that naturally draws her back. It's important to remember that confidence isn't about arrogance. It's not about proving yourself or boasting. It's about demonstrating through your actions and energy that you are complete and grounded, regardless of her attention. Women are instinctively attuned to this type of masculine energy. When she comes back, she's responding not just to who you are, but to the stability and self-assurance she missed. That's why your reaction to her return matters. Responding with calmness and authenticity reinforces the same energy that drew her in the first place. In essence, her return is often triggered by the fact that your confidence remained unshaken. You didn't beg, plead, or try to manipulate her feelings. You continued your journey, improving yourself, pursuing goals, and holding your frame. That kind of steadfast confidence is rare, and when a woman realizes she underestimated it, she feels compelled to come back and see the man she may have dismissed too soon. Missing your confidence is a subtle but powerful reason why women often circle back after rejecting a man, and it's a dynamic that plays directly into her psychology. 3. She felt your absence. When a woman comes back after rejecting you, one of the strongest forces at play is that she genuinely felt your absence. Humans are wired to notice what they no longer have, and women are no exception. When you step away and stop seeking her validation, you create a void that she can't ignore. Most men panic after being rejected and attempt to fill the space with texts, calls, or emotional explanations. That behavior makes them predictable and replaceable. But when you disappear gracefully, continue living your life, and stay focused on your own growth, you create a tension that triggers her curiosity and draws her attention back. Absence isn't just physical, it's emotional and psychological. She remembers the energy you brought into her life, the way your presence made her feel secure, desired, or intrigued. When she initially rejected you, she might not have been ready to recognize your full value, but your silence forces her to reflect. She begins replaying interactions in her mind, recalling moments when your confidence or humor caught her off guard, or when she felt your calmness amidst her own emotional games. That replay triggers feelings she may have suppressed, and her mind starts to associate your absence with a loss she didn't anticipate. Women are highly perceptive to changes in emotional energy. If you react to rejection with calmness and continue improving yourself, she feels the difference without you needing to explain anything. She notices that your life didn't stop for her, that your happiness and progress are independent of her choices. That realization is magnetic. The void you create is a psychological tool. She may not consciously admit she missed you, but her behavior often reflects the growing curiosity and desire to reconnect. Absence builds value when it's paired with consistent self-respect and purpose. Timing matters when it comes to letting her feel your absence. Don't rush to respond, even if she initially reaches out. Responding too soon can collapse the tension and make her feel she hasn't lost control. The key is to allow her to process what it feels like not to have your presence. Women often come back after realizing that the man they dismissed wasn't just available for anyone, that he has his own life, ambitions, and boundaries. That kind of realization hits harder than any argument or explanation because it appeals to both her curiosity and her sense of missed opportunity. Feeling your absence also creates emotional recalibration. When she experiences what it's like to interact with other men, or to face the reality of not having your energy in her life, she compares those experiences to what you provided. Very often, she notices that your presence brought a unique mix of confidence, calmness, and emotional stability that is hard to replicate. That recognition triggers a natural desire to return. She may try subtly at first, sending a text or liking something on social media, testing to see if your energy has changed. How you respond to these tests is crucial to reinforcing the perception of your value. Ultimately, her return after rejection is rarely about needing you desperately. It's about realizing she underestimated what you offered. Your absence creates a space where she begins to reflect on your uniqueness, your stability, and the confidence she initially overlooked. That reflection is what sparks renewed attraction. When she comes back, it's not because she manipulated you or tricked herself. It's because she recognized that your presence has weight, that your energy is rare, and that losing you, even briefly, made her aware of what she missed. 4. She wants emotional security. Another major reason women come back after rejecting a man is that they want emotional security. Women are instinctively drawn to men who provide stability, consistency, and a calm presence, even if they don't consciously admit it at first. When she rejects you, she may be unsure about her feelings or about whether you can offer that stability. But if you respond to rejection with composure, confidence, and self-sufficiency, you signal that you are emotionally grounded. That energy becomes attractive because she recognizes, often subconsciously, that you're a man who can handle life without being thrown off by her decisions. Emotional security is rare, and once she feels its absence after rejecting you, she naturally starts to seek it again. When she comes back, it's often because she's realizing that other men can't offer what you naturally provide. Most men react to rejection with anxiety, neediness, or overcompensation, which signals instability. That drives women away because they feel emotionally unbalanced around men who cannot maintain their center. But when you hold your frame, continue your growth, and respond to her return with calmness, you prove that your emotions are not dependent on her approval. That demonstration of stability communicates value at a deep level, and women are wired to gravitate toward men who can provide that energy. The psychology behind this is rooted in instinct. Women look for men who can remain steady in the face of challenges, including social tests, emotional withdrawal, or rejection. When she initially said no, she may have been testing whether you would crumble or chase, whether you would lose control or panic. If you didn't, she subconsciously stores that experience. Over time, as she reflects on her choice, the recognition of your emotional security grows stronger. She begins to see that rejecting you didn't disrupt your life, which is exactly the type of dependable energy that appeals to her sense of long-term attraction. Emotional security also amplifies curiosity. When she notices that you remained composed and continued pursuing your goals, she starts to wonder what it is about you that made you so resilient. That curiosity often drives her to reconnect, initially in small ways, checking in, initiating casual conversation, or bringing up shared experiences. She's testing whether your composure is consistent and whether she can rely on the stability she felt previously. The more authentic and unshakable your emotional presence, the more she's drawn to that energy, and the more likely she is to return. Women are naturally drawn to men who can handle rejection without losing value. That calm confidence signals to her that you are a man who won't be easily shaken, who isn't ruled by emotional need, and who provides a sense of security she can trust. Once she internalizes that, she begins to see her initial rejection differently, not as a final decision, but as a moment of testing that revealed your rare qualities. That mental shift is what triggers her return. When she comes back seeking that emotional security, it's crucial not to overreact or validate her previous rejection unnecessarily. Instead, reinforce the energy that made her miss you in the first place: composure, confidence, and self-sufficiency. By remaining grounded while re-engaging, you show that your stability is not negotiable, which only strengthens the attraction she feels. Emotional security is subtle but powerful, and it's one of the main reasons women often circle back after rejecting a man.
5. She craves curiosity and challenge. One of the most overlooked reasons women come back after rejecting a man is curiosity. Women are naturally drawn to mystery and challenge, and when you don't react predictably to rejection, you create both. Most men, when rejected, immediately chase, explain, or overinvest emotionally. That predictable behavior removes any sense of challenge. But when you maintain composure, focus on your life, and avoid chasing her attention, you become a puzzle she can't ignore. She starts asking herself why you didn't behave like other men, why you seem unaffected, and what it is about you that makes her feel compelled to return. That curiosity is magnetic, and it often drives her to reach out. Challenge works hand in hand with curiosity. Women are wired to test boundaries, and rejection is sometimes part of that process. When you handle rejection with calm confidence, you demonstrate that you are not easy to control or manipulate. You send a clear signal. Your value is independent of her approval. That challenge, your unshakable presence, creates tension in her mind. Women feel drawn to men who are emotionally independent because it forces them to engage differently. They sense that being around you is rewarding, not guaranteed, and that scarcity of emotional availability increases your perceived value. Curiosity is amplified by absence and growth. When you pull back and continue improving your life after rejection, whether through fitness, social activities, career achievements, or hobbies, she observes either directly or indirectly that you are evolving without her. That fuels intrigue. She starts to think about what she missed and why you didn't chase her like others might have. The more she reflects on your consistency and self-sufficiency, the stronger her desire becomes. The emotional pull is subconscious. She may not consciously admit she wants you back, but her actions reveal the truth. It's important to understand that this curiosity is not manipulation. It's the natural psychological effect of experiencing a man who is rare in behavior. Most men are emotionally predictable. They seek approval, validation, and affection without maintaining independence. When you do the opposite, she is forced to reassess her initial rejection. That reassessment is accompanied by a subtle challenge. She wants to see if your composure is genuine, if your confidence is consistent, and if you still embody the energy that initially drew her in. This challenge ignites attraction in ways that words or overt efforts cannot. Women also crave mental engagement. When they return after rejecting a man, they are often testing him to gauge whether he has maintained his value. They want to see if the man they initially dismissed has grown, if he still holds his frame, and if he can operate with self-assurance. That mental engagement creates tension and emotional stimulation, two critical ingredients for renewed attraction. By not over-explaining or chasing, you allow her curiosity to do the work for you. Your silence, growth, and confidence make her invest emotionally, making her return not a coincidence but a natural outcome of psychological dynamics. In essence, when she comes back after rejecting you, it's often because she was challenged and intrigued. She wants to engage with a man who cannot be easily predicted, controlled, or emotionally manipulated. By maintaining independence, demonstrating confidence, and continuing your personal growth, you create the perfect conditions for her curiosity and desire to grow. She may test, observe, or approach cautiously, but her return is a clear sign that your composed and self-sufficient energy has captured her attention and shifted the dynamic in your favor. 6. She wants to see your growth. Women often come back after rejecting a man because they want to see his growth. Growth is powerful. It signals that you are constantly improving, independent, and not reliant on her approval for your happiness. When she initially rejected you, she may have underestimated your potential or assumed that her decision would destabilize your emotional balance. But if you use that time to develop yourself, physically, mentally, socially, and emotionally, she notices the transformation. Women are drawn to men who are continuously evolving because that energy demonstrates competence, ambition, and self-mastery. Your growth becomes proof that you're rare and capable, and that piques her interest. Growth isn't just about appearances, it's about presence and energy. A man who has leveled up in confidence, lifestyle, or emotional intelligence carries an aura of stability and accomplishment. She may start comparing this evolved version of you to the initial rejection she gave, realizing that she dismissed a man who is now stronger, more attractive, and more grounded. That comparison triggers reflection and desire. She wonders what changed and why she feels drawn to the man she initially said no to. Your actions, achievements, and self-discipline communicate far more than words ever could, creating intrigue and attraction simultaneously. Timing and subtlety are key. Women notice gradual transformation and authentic growth. If she sees that your confidence, social life, or accomplishments have improved while you weren't seeking her attention, it signals independence. That independence is magnetic because it tells her you are not emotionally dependent on validation. It shows that your worth isn't negotiable and that your presence is earned, not assumed. She feels challenged to re-engage because she realizes that being in your orbit is no longer guaranteed. It must be valued. The psychological process behind her return is tied to self-reflection. She starts to ask herself why she rejected you initially and whether she acted too quickly or overlooked your potential. Her curiosity grows as she observes your progress, and that internal dialogue often leads to action, sending a message, checking your social media, or initiating contact indirectly. She wants to see if your growth is authentic, if your energy remains steady, and if your independence is consistent. That's why responding with calmness and confidence is crucial. Overreacting or seeking approval undermines the effect of the growth she's noticing. Growth also signals leadership and high value. Women are drawn to men who demonstrate that they are capable of handling life, challenges, and rejection without losing composure. When she comes back, she is often testing whether the transformation she sees is genuine and sustainable. Your continued focus on self-improvement reinforces your rarity and creates an environment where she respects and admires you more than before. It's not about proving anything to her, it's about living in a way that naturally highlights your value. Ultimately, her return is often motivated by the recognition that your growth has elevated you to a level she initially overlooked. Your confidence, achievements, and independence make her reassess her prior decision. Women instinctively gravitate toward men who show progress and self-mastery, especially when that growth happened without her involvement. That combination of curiosity, respect, and attraction makes her return more likely and positions you as a man of high value who cannot be easily dismissed. Your growth speaks louder than any conversation, text, or apology ever could, and that is why she comes back. 7. She wants to test your reaction when a woman comes back after rejecting you. One of the strongest psychological reasons is that she wants to test your reaction. Women are highly intuitive when it comes to assessing a man's emotional stability, confidence, and value. When she initially rejected you, she was watching to see how you would respond. Most men react predictably. They chase, over-explain, or show desperation. That behavior signals low value and dependency. But when you handle rejection with calmness, continue living your life, and demonstrate independence, you create a scenario where her return is often triggered by curiosity about your emotional state. She wants to see if your confidence is real, if your composure is consistent, and if your energy has changed. This testing behavior isn't malicious. It's part of how women evaluate long-term suitability. Rejection isn't always a final decision. It's often a way for her to observe how a man handles uncertainty and emotional stress. By maintaining calm and not chasing her attention, you show that you're grounded and emotionally self-sufficient. When she returns, she's essentially checking whether that strength was genuine. She may approach cautiously through casual texts, social interactions, or subtle messages to gauge your stability. Her goal is to see if your independence and value are real, and this test determines whether she re-engages with respect and attraction or decides to withdraw again. Timing and consistency are crucial. If you overreact, beg, or try to explain yourself, you fail her test. If you respond with calm confidence, focus on your life, and keep interactions balanced, you pass with flying colors. She notices subtle differences in your energy, your tone, and your demeanor. Women are wired to detect authenticity in behavior. The more you demonstrate that your happiness and self-worth are independent of her attention, the more impressed she becomes. That's what draws her back, the realization that she cannot control or manipulate your emotions the way she expected. Testing your reaction also gives her a sense of security. Women instinctively seek men who can remain composed under pressure, who are emotionally reliable, and who are not easily destabilized by rejection or uncertainty. When she sees that you can handle her return with calmness, it creates trust and attraction simultaneously. Her initial rejection may have been about timing, curiosity, or uncertainty, but your unwavering energy convinces her that you are rare. She wants to confirm that your frame is unshakable, and that confirmation often leads to renewed interest and emotional engagement. Another reason she tests is to assess whether your growth since the rejection is authentic. She wants to see if you've improved physically, mentally, socially, or emotionally without needing her validation. Her tests are subtle. She might initiate a short conversation, ask a question about your life, or react to your social media updates. Every interaction is designed to observe whether your composure, confidence, and independence remain intact. How you handle these interactions solidifies your perceived value and increases the likelihood of her re-engaging with you seriously. Ultimately, her return is rarely impulsive. It's strategic. She wants to see if you are the same man who handled rejection with strength, if your growth is consistent, and if your confidence remains intact. When you pass these tests by maintaining emotional control, composure, and focus on your own life, you reset the dynamic. She experiences the difference between chasing and observing, dependency and independence, instability and groundedness. Passing her test positions you as a man of high value who commands respect and reignites attraction naturally. When a woman comes back after rejecting you, it's rarely random. Her return is rooted in psychology, curiosity, emotional recalibration, missed confidence, desire for security, and testing your reaction. Understanding these reasons gives you the upper hand because it allows you to respond in a way that reinforces your value rather than undermines it. Most men make the mistake of overreacting, chasing, or trying to explain themselves, which destroys the very energy that made them attractive in the first place. The key is to stay composed, independent, and focused on your growth. Her return is a reflection of your strength and emotional intelligence. You've shown that rejection doesn't control you, that your confidence is genuine, and that your life continues to progress without her validation. That combination triggers reflection, curiosity, and desire in her mind. Women are drawn to men who are self-sufficient, emotionally stable, and rare in their ability to handle challenges without losing composure. Every interaction after her return should reinforce that energy. Respond calmly, maintain boundaries, and continue living a life that demonstrates high value. Rejection is not a setback. It's an opportunity to elevate your frame, showcase your independence, and highlight your growth. When she realizes she underestimated you, her return becomes a natural consequence of the magnetic energy you've cultivated. By understanding why women come back and leveraging these psychological dynamics, you shift the power in your favor. You create attraction without desperation, respect without begging, and desire without chasing. Master this, and rejection becomes not a loss, but a tool to strengthen your position and ensure she sees you as a man of high value who cannot be easily dismissed.